fishing every Friday morning. I wear chic clothes and go for strolls.
You jackass! I don't understand your way of thinking. Do you even know what we are right now?
I'm just gonna go to the beach.
This guy, all he wants to do is go home and eat challah bread and hug his mommy. Wasn't even in the fucking war?
You've never been in a battle before. You've never stood over dead bodies. You've never seen your friend's brain shattered by a bullet next to you.
Play Soldierland. I want to say this, that when I attended the rehearsal of the play, what struck me the most was that the performers seemed to capture with great accuracy the life of the veteran, of the soldiers. But I was struck by how it, in contrast to Hollywoodized movies, their portrayal seems so accurate, so close to what I have seen among the returned veterans that we work with in a therapeutic context, because the idea of them being tested big time, struggling, they were abandoned in the play, the trains had pulled out, as I recall, and their reaction captured the anxiety, their stresses, their determination, and I thought, and I'll say this last part, what was so impressive was the movement of them on stage, because soldiers often are very disciplined in their movement, and non-military actors don't capture that, what I would call very ingrained movement, purposeful. I thought these actors did. So whoever prepared them, the movements very much mirrored what I've seen.
I rose up to the sky and saw the mountain.
Is it expensive?
What am I doing?
I hear my name.
I can afford it.
I hear my name.
Rose up to the sky
Who's calling me?
and saw the mountain.
Is it
I'm
expensive?
here.
What am I doing?
I'm here.
I can
And I'll pick up on that notion of the movement, the inner turmoil that the stories that the director, the playwright put into the script, was depicted not only through the text but through their bodies. There was a real sense of physicality of that those struggles that are taking place inside were actually shown through the body, which in the production that Marv and I worked on, Contact Unload, that was one of the things that we were also trying to capture, is that notion of that the challenges that one might face can sometimes be revealed through theater, through the body. And I think the text of this play, the richness of the text is also in the careful editing. One can overwrite. We have tendency to overwrite, to try to tell, to describe everything. And I think the success of this script is Rzgar, the playwright, is able to carefully select the key moments, so allowing then the actor to depict these struggles, these relationships of coming home after serving, and the audience then is able to actually experience it in a they're not being told, they're actually kind of living, revisiting it.
I have no food left. It's not important. When I get back home, my mother will be there waiting for me. She'll have already prepared plenty of food. I'll dig in and wash it down with a nice hot drink. Why not? All this exhaustion just vanished like
The roles that they were portraying was the one guy, he was in denial. Remember, he said, when I get home I'm going to be like this, and he was trying to be optimistic. That's a form of a normal reaction to a very terrifying challenge, is to deny what's going on, and he tried to create images of happiness, in contrast to the others who authentically displayed the anguish, I said, and the depression.
Which created the moment Marv is talking about in terms of the dream of when he comes home and wishing what he's going to potentially experience. It allowed also for the sense of comedy. There was a release for audience members to actually, because he was describing, which we all knew would not be what was going to happen. We were obviously, as audience members, put a step ahead, and the reaction of his co-actors, the because at the very beginning of the play, you have these three actors at the train station, and which created this wonderful moment of, as I mentioned, of seriousness, but also of release, because there was this dream-like euphoric potential, which we knew at some point it was going to slap us back in the face, because we knew it wasn't going to happen, that when he came home that there'd be other factors that he'd have to face.
What also in the play captured, which often they don't, is the domestic relationships when they come home. The one actor character is with his girlfriend or partner, and the struggle between the two of them, and it showed also the stress of the partner, that for her to come to terms with who this guy is when he comes back. And so we had the benefit of seeing the interaction upon return with family members and the stressors that creates.
It was real. Real blood. Real death. Real killing.
You should have never signed up for the army. You didn't have to. I was afraid. I was so afraid. I was afraid of bombings and death, but I was more afraid that maybe we would all just starve to death. I waited for you. You should have come back and calmed me down. But you didn't. You didn't even send a letter.
I couldn't! Where would I send a letter to? I didn't have a moment's peace when I was out there. I was taught to walk towards death and not even think about coming back. What kind of sick person do you think I am, that I love blood, death, and guts? I knew nothing about what I was getting to. Nothing! Before I knew what was happening, I was trying to kill people before they killed me! And I knew it! Fucking knew it!
The other thing that Rzgar produced in the play was although they're a group, they're together and they're also isolated. Sometimes in the theater space you have one here, one here, one here, one here, and they would be into their own distress by themselves. No one can help you. And then they'd come together again as a group and reconnect, in and out, in and out. And that's quite often you can suffer alone in a group because the others are suffering too. You can't help the other when you're struggling. And I thought that was captured.
Yeah. And the simplicity of the setting of the meeting place at a train station, where it was completely isolated, really opened up this kind of wasteland and feeling that you knew that these men had experienced something that they were still trying to come to grips with, trying to understand, and yet their environment was this. You could almost see the tumbleweed in the background, and so that part is very powerful.
It's the stories of personal struggle. It's the stories of overcoming those struggles, and not only does that help guys struggling, but it helps the men and women come forward who are having a hard time. And so plays like this one, plays like Contact Unload, are so incredibly important, both to the veteran community for advocacy, for removing stigma, but also in raising awareness for civilian populations as to what exactly your servicemen and women go through, both in overseas deployment and when they come home.
So